Michael, back on the podcast.
Coach T.
You enjoyed last week's one?
Well, at the time, I thought it was a little bit weird. But I listened to it back, as you know I like to do, just to kind of in that search of continuous improvement, just trying to understand how I can make myself better. I listened to it back. I actually thought it was a really good episode.
Yeah, it was.
I quite liked the fact it was short, sharp questions, answers. And also, like, you just got my honest opinion because it was just natural, like whatever came out.
There's a similar vibe for an episode today, and then potentially another one like that. I'm sure we could do quite a few, though. Any guesses? I know it's a wide spectrum of things we might cover, but any guesses what we're going to do today?
Is Jiu-Jitsu related?
It is very much so, but as we will come to think of it, it's a broad subject.
No idea. As always, you'll surprise me turning with some random stuff, but that's good. That's what we want, right?
For sure. So
we also need to do a podcast at some point where you share some of your thoughts, because I'm sure a lot of our members and listeners want to hear what you've got to say.
But I do like to keep my air of mystery, Mike. You see?
You're powder dry.
Some say I'm a lot like the Bruce Wayne, you know.
That's Batman.
Yeah,
right, yeah.
Of course, yeah, I forget you don't know anything about
Don't
films.
watch stuff like that, no.
You need to get, like,
that's a podcast.
Yeah.
Why Professor Mike doesn't watch films that couldn't be real.
Oh, we do a watch-along podcast, you know, where we'll watch films and people can react
sorry,
to
mate, you
our...
misunderstand. I won't watch a film unless it could have happened or has happened.
Batman could have happened.
That's why you and I will never be able to discuss your love of Harry Potter, because I just can't watch it. Because kids don't fly around on broomsticks, as far as I'm aware.
Not that we know of.
As far as I'm
That
aware,
we know of.
And we're recording this one, right? Like film.
Yeah, of course. Hello, people watching at home. You creeps.
Stalking us like this on YouTube.
Yeah, around the world.
But this is a natural progression of what we've been trying to achieve. We've finally got here, right? We've been doing some Q&A live stuff for the members, and it's gone down quite well. And we always knew that we wanted to create a podcast which was available both in audio and in video, right?
Yeah, of course. And hopefully it'll be nice for people behind the camera to pretend they're the third chair for us today. Obviously, they've not found out about Netflix yet, or they won't be here.
That's right.
So today, Mike, to get to it, we are looking at the 12 commandments of Jiu-Jitsu laid down by Master Carlos Gracie Sr. And before we actually get into the 12, how do you feel about Master Carlos laying down 12 commandments as if he's Moses coming down from the mountain? Yeah,
it sounds a bit religious, doesn't it? It sounds a bit kind of full on.
Particularly because Brazil's quite a religious country, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you're talking to an atheist here, so, you know, I don't share that kind of view.
Yeah.
I respect people who do, but I don't share it. So, I don't know. You see, I think what Master Carlos did and the whole Gracie family, what they've done to kind of find this art and to develop this art and then share it with the world, like, no one can deny that's amazing. What they've done. I think, I don't know, making it too full on, like even the word commandment, like we shouldn't be commanding anyone to do anything, in my opinion. Sorry, Master Carlos. But we shouldn't be, really, should we? We should be offering an opportunity for people to live and to train and to believe a certain way in their lives, right? To live that certain way. But that's just an opportunity. That's what we're providing. We're not commanding anyone to do anything, because otherwise it can sometimes feel a bit, and this is where Gracie Barra occasionally is a bit criticised, that it is a bit of a kind of cult. You know what I mean? We're so bought into Gracie Barra as a brand and what it stands for the right reasons. The brotherhood, the integrity, the development, like all that stuff's great. I take a little bit of a umbrage to the word commandment. So I'm sorry if that's just blowing your podcast out of the water.
Yeah, I'm going to get rid of all these now. Sorry, Master Carlos.
A lot of what's in there, though, like rings true across life. You know, so it's a very wise kind of words that, you know, he's a very kind of wise man, and the way he lived his own life was very kind of prophetic. But Yeah, I would strip out the word commandment and just say kind of.
So we haven't even started the first one yet, and you're already changing it up.
Listen, you asked me what I thought. I'm going to tell you.
Maybe we can save some cult talk for when Tom's on next.
Yeah, that'd be good.
We'll leave that subject. We'll skip over that bit for everyone just for the moment, but we will come back to it in a few weeks. Okay, so we'll dive straight in, and I'll tell you straight away, as you said, when I was reading through these, if you take away that Carlos Gracie, said it, you wouldn't necessarily know it was about jiu-jitsu,
No.
So number one, and I guess you can just tell me what you think about it. You don't have to spend very long on it. Like, you can spend as long as you want on it.
Can I just say something real quick? Because that point you just made is actually the critical bit to understand. Jiu-jitsu, whilst it's a martial art, whilst it's a sport, it doesn't just benefit us on the mat. The practice of jiu-jitsu benefits us across the whole kind of full spectrum of our lives. It just makes us better people, full stop, right? So I think that's what I want people to understand when they come train jiu-jitsu. Yeah, you're going to get fit. Yeah, you're going to be able to defend yourself. But also you're going to become a better person at home, a better employee, a better parent, just a better friend, a better all round, right?
For sure. So, to begin, be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind. So, similar to last week, what does that mean? And then, I don't know, how is it developed in jiu-jitsu kind of thing?
It's quite a deep one, isn't it? These are quite deep.
Oh, they all are, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that. So this is a long form discussion.
Yeah, for a Monday.
Be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind. I think actually what that means is be self-confident and have firm beliefs for your own life, what you want it to be, and be confident in where you're going in your own life and who you are in yourself, and be happy about that person. Far too many people aren't confident in themselves and then therefore need to look to others or get concerned when they see others doing things and they want what they've got. But I think if you're so strong that you are comfortable in yourself, comfortable in your own skin, what you look like, what you feel like, what you do for a job, how you benefit your community, what kind of parent you are, what kind of husband, wife you are, then ultimately it doesn't matter what anyone does. No one can disturb your peace of mind because you know who you are deep down yourself. Mm-hmm. That's what I take from that. What about you?
Similar. Do you feel that jiu-jitsu then helps you understand more about who you are and become...
Yeah, without a doubt.
Right.
Yeah, we spoke about this maybe on one of our first podcasts about the fact that jiu-jitsu exposes you. It not exposes you to it. The art of jiu-jitsu exposes all of you, all of your flaws, all of your strengths, all of your weaknesses. The art of doing it, the practice of jiu-jitsu, the sparring, the randori, if you want to call it that, just to come into the gym and training, exposes all of those things because you are going to lose. And then how do you handle that loss? You're going to win. How do you handle that loss? You're going to struggle. How do you handle that? You're going to fly and find things really easy. How do you handle that? Do you become complacent? Or do you even work harder and search for even deeper kind of mastery of whatever you're doing? And it exposes those things. Now, you might not be comfortable with what you see. You might be, or might think you are, an extremely confident person. And you might feel you are resilient. Let's see what happens when someone half your size taps you 3 times in a 5-minute round. Will you blame it on, oh yeah, sorry, I've got a bit of a niggle at the minute. Mm-hmm. Oh, that wasn't really a tap, I felt a bit of a problem in my knee. Or will you say, wow, man, you caught me there. How did you do that? What did I do? Help me. What did I do wrong there for you to be able to... Because we're going to see, aren't we? We're going to see, and it's the humble people or the people who really know themselves, who are so strong that they're comfortable in who they are, that last the journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. And so I don't know if there's ever a particular point where you become so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind, but I think it's more of a gradual thing where you become so much more self-confident that the little things won't disturb your...
Who was it who said, man, know thyself?
Sounds like a Nietzsche, probably.
Yeah, or I can't remember if it was like Socrates, Aristotle, something like that. You know, man, know thyself. My granddad used to say that. Like, know who you are. Like, know your weaknesses, know your flaws. In my old job, I had to go for, before I did one of the kind of more intense courses, before I did one of the jobs that I used to do. Sorry if I'm talking around the houses there, but my old job was quite sensitive. And I had to go for quite an in-depth psychological assessment because they couldn't allow people who were not very self-aware to go and do that work because it would be quite dangerous. And the guy said to me, like, you know, he felt that I really knew myself quite well. And I think I've unpicked who I am, perhaps through my jiu-jitsu, but also through my other experiences in life in the military. My childhood, I know where I suffered there, and I know why that's made me who I am today. And we need to do that. We need to search to understand who we are first before we can start to be worried about anything else. Because then, once you're supremely confident about who you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, your flaws, then no one can really challenge that, right? It's when we try and hide it and cover it up, that's when your peace of mind gets wobbled, because who you tell yourself you are isn't actually who you are.
It's almost like when the fat kid in high school like just almost accepts his weight, and then like nothing can hurt him anymore because he's just like, I'm this guy now.
Yeah, for sure.
And you were right, it was Socrates. I just had a little check. Pretty good. A star in your classical civilization knowledge.
Thank you.
Number 2. Talk to all people about happiness, health, and prosperity.
Or just be a positive person, right?
Yeah.
Like,
a lot of these are kind of that kind of vibe, to be honest.
Yeah, but that kind of feeds into one of the things that Gracie Barra has so good with. Like they use the word brotherhood, but we use the word community because we think it's a bit too masculine, don't we? I think we agree on that.
Yeah.
That term itself.
Yeah, and they do try and differentiate what they mean by brotherhood in the ICP. Like, they do kind of just essentially mean community, but they've already picked brotherhood now, so...
We need to change the name. Anyone listening from Gracie Barra, change it to community. I think it's more inclusive. Just be a positive person. And like it's like we say to our children, if you ain't got anything good to say, don't say it. You know? Always talk about always think to try and do something positive to someone else. That's really important on the mats too, because whilst it's about your journey, part of that journey is to support others in theirs, right? So help them, be positive, be happy, you know, and also it comes down to spreading. We spoke about this earlier, actually, T. Like, I certainly feel a responsibility as a black belt, someone who's been training for a long time and knows how positive jiu-jitsu can be, to share jiu-jitsu with other people. And I'd like to see our members, when they discover how positive jiu-jitsu has been to them, to share it with other people, because the more people that know jiu-jitsu, the better the world's going to be, man. Simple as that. For all those reasons we just spoke about, everyone gets to figure out who they are. No one pretends anymore. And then everyone's humble and accepting of each other.
Very good. I think with that, talk to all people about happiness, health, and prosperity. There has to be an authenticity to that, or it becomes annoying in a way.
A bit sickly,
yeah. Like someone that's kind of just faking it, and you can kind of tell.
I mean, does it mean that you can't also suffer? But maybe you don't go around telling everyone how you're suffering all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe you should. Yeah. Maybe you should, actually, because I think on that point, there's a real issue with mental health, right, where people feel, particularly men, feel ashamed to talk about their weaknesses. Mm-hmm. What this isn't is a cover-up. But if you go back to the first point, if you're really strong about yourself and you're confident in yourself, and so strong that no one can dip your peace of mind, then you don't mind telling people that you're suffering and struggling.
Yeah. Well, where's the room for that? For like, in the Marines, you have dripping, like where you kind of like, it's a low key kind of just complaint to kind of just like.
What does dripping mean, so people can know what it means?
So, an example of someone dripping would be.
It's a term used in the Marines, right, to describe moaning, basically.
It's moaning, but it's not like a serious complaint. It's just, in a rubbish situation, and you point out that you're in a rubbish situation, and you just have a little bit of a laugh about it. Where it's not to the point where like you drip so much that you're getting depressed, kind of thing. Is there room for that in?
I actually don't think so. I think at the time we did it in the Marines as a way to have that cheerfulness in the face of adversity. That's what dripping was about, in my opinion. So it was about kind of almost making fun of like, look how did this situation, this fella's, gee, I've got to do this again. To make fun of the situation, light of it, because it was so tough. I actually think it's quite damaging. I think if people are negative, and I think that's what Carlos Gracie means there, like if you negative in any way, negativity is never a good thing, really, for negativity's sake. If there's a problem, an issue, it should be raised. But if you're just saying how bad things are for the sake of saying it, actually you're bringing other people down, you know? So if you really think it's bad, then do something about it. That's what I would say. But don't kind of wallow in it and tell everyone else how rubbish it is. That don't make any sense.
So no room for dripping in jiu-jitsu?
No.
Right, well...
If people have got a problem or they're struggling, don't drip about it. Don't moan about it. Even for a laugh, do something about it. Come and tell us. Come and share it and we'll fix it.
Professor Mike keeps putting me in neon belly.
Yeah, learn how not to get in neon belly.
Or just do that.
Or ask Professor Mike, how do you always get in neon belly on me, Professor Mike? What am I doing? You need to ask me that question too.
One day I'm going to surprise you with a great escape. You're like, oh,
that's a great question you could be asking me, man.
No, we'll save that for another.
I enjoy it too much. I'm not going to answer it.
We'll save that for podcast 1000.
All right.
Give to all your friends the feeling of being valued.
Yeah, we all want to feel valued, don't we? We all want to feel like we all want to feel good about ourselves, and we want to feel like we're a positive impact on other people. Yeah. So, and we can value everyone, right? We can value the guy. So I'll tell you what we do every year as a family. So we buy a big box of biscuits for the guys who clean the park every morning, because we live in Roundhay Park, and every morning at 7 o'clock, a load of people who get paid minimum wage, all the park keepers, go out, clean up all the crap that all the affluent idiots have just strewn across the park all weekend. All right, we don't moan about it, they just do it. And every Christmas, we give them a little gift to show that we value what they do. That goes so far, man. This summer, for the first time, they came around to the house and said, Mike, we're chopping all the hedges down. Do you want us just to do yours, mate, while we're at it? Yes, I do. Thank you very much. Perfect. How awesome is that? And they showed me that they value what we do, and that's just awesome. Once that you get that relationship going, that kind of cyclical relationship, it's just amazing, man. And so if we do that to everyone, show that we value them no matter what they do, then we feel good, they feel good, everything's better.
Does a particular memory come to mind of you feeling like someone else has made you feel valued in your jiu-jitsu kind of journey?
No, not what they've said, but where I feel like where I've added value to them. Is that what you mean?
Well, not necessarily. You as like a student, maybe like in your years of doing jiu-jitsu, has any particular point you feel like a really valued member of the team? Has there been a particular occasion or a particular moment, getting a promotion or something? Or?
Not really. No, not really. I feel kind of valued now by our members. And what I was going to say was like the likes of yourself or Dave as well, who runs a jiu-jitsu school like Northern Line, or Jim, you know, I introduced you guys to jiu-jitsu. So the real value I feel is seeing you continue that journey and then watch how it's really developed positively in your life. That gives me the greatest amount of value. And it comes back to our point before about sharing what we love. I knew how positive it was for me, so I wanted to share it with people like you and Dave and Jim and everyone else. And then you guys have taken it on and you'll share it with someone else, and that's the best. That's the best feeling in the world, man, honestly.
Tough question for you here.
Go on.
How, or maybe it's not, maybe it's a really easy question. How do you want to instill our members feeling that they're valued? I
want them to feel part of this place, like it's a second home. That says it on our website. That's really important. And I want them to know that this business and this academy will only be great by their hard work as well. Because you and I can sit here and do this all day, and we can stand and teach classes all day, but unless those members come in, and unless they contribute to that energy, and when those free trial members come in, and they see really happy members on the mat who are happy to help them and support them, they're contributing. So I want them to feel valued in the prosperity of this business, because actually the success of this business depends just as much on them as it does on me, right? I just started it. This is just my idea and I put some money behind it, but actually it will only grow so much with me and you talking about it. Everyone else collectively is going to make it and take it to that next level. And I honestly, like my, and this might sound over-ambitious, but I genuinely want us to be the most successful Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy in the UK. Like, in terms of not only just membership numbers, but quality content, quality of instruction, everything. Like, I want us to be the best. That is the goal. And our members will get us there.
Happy days.
And then they will feel the value of that.
Look at things by the enlightened point of view and update your optimism on reality. Yeah.
Wow. That is difficult to understand.
Yeah. I'll read it again. Look at things by the enlightened point of view and update your optimism on reality.
I'm going to simplify that in terms of what I think it means. I think that's about always searching for new things. So the enlightened point of view, so someone who's discovered something new, and then always be optimistic about how that can affect what's going on right now. So don't think you know it all, and search for that new discovery, and always be searching for that optimistic kind of view on what's going on right now. Because we have a choice, don't we? We can either just accept where we are. We find this in jiu-jitsu all the time. You'll hit a roadblock in your journey. There'll be something you can't do. So in the Marines, it's a great example. I could not climb 30-foot ropes outside to save my life. I got the medal for the best recruit in the first 15 weeks, Craig medal. I was flying in training. Week 22, bottom field test. Could not get up the ropes outside with the weight on, with the 22-pound kit on, whatever. And it took me to my final attempt to get up, but that was my kind of block. It was more of a mental block than a physical block, because obviously in the end I did it. People are going to get that in their jiu-jitsu journey. So I need to search for the enlightened view, search for other people who've already figured out what that problem is, and then be optimistic about where they are right now, their reality right now. That's what I would take from that. All right, so don't dwell on the negative. I can't do this, I can't do that. Find the enlightened view, find who can do it, ask them, and be optimistic that if you practice enough, then you'll be able to do it as well.
Good stuff. Think only about the best, work only for the best, and always expect the best.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of hitting on the same themes, right?
Yeah.
It's all about just doing the right thing and being positive, and that I think if you hold, those things are key to hold yourself to account, not other people, because you can't control other people. You can only control what you can do. But if everyone does that, and then we can talk then about controlling the controllables, can't we? And not focus on the things that are out of your control and dripping about them. Like, what can you do? Focus on being the best person you can be and doing what you can do best. If everyone did that, the world would be a better place tomorrow. And that's what we're trying to do here, right? Like, everything we do for this academy is about trying to put the best version of us and this place and jiu-jitsu out there for everyone else. Look at what we did really recently with the food bank stuff. We're just trying to find, and the lockdown, people keep saying to me, "Oh, Mike, you must be gutted you can't open." Yeah, I'm gutted I can't open. What am I going to do about it? You've got to do something about it. Right, where's the opportunity here? How can we make it better? Can we do something for charity? Can we build relationships between the team stronger? Our members, can we get them more connected? Can we do some online training? There's always a way. But it's all about doing your best. And if we all did it, things would be a lot easier, right?
Good stuff. So next one is...
Did it get any easier?
This one is easier. This one's nice and BJJ relevant. Be just as enthusiastic about others' victories as you are with yours.
Yeah.
That's an easy one for
that
Jitz.
sometimes. Because we will inevitably compare ourselves to others.
Mm-hmm.
And when you, and the one where people are going to experience this most often is when they are training with somebody and they've been training for the same amount of time, and then that person gets promoted before them. And they go, what's wrong with me? And some people leave, and some people never come back. Your journey is your own journey, right? You've got to just focus on yourself. So Lewis and I started on the first day, why am I saying this? Started training on the first day together, same night, Gracie Bar Leeds, the old one. And then I was promoted to black belt in April 2017, and he wasn't promoted to black belt till December that year. Yet he had competed just as much as me, probably even more, higher belts. He'd been to Brazil and had a year in Brazil. But his journey was slightly different, and Victor always saw him more as a competitor, and perhaps he even saw him with a little bit more potential than me. He's 10 years younger than me. And so we had different journeys, right? And then he gave me my black belt on that day. And I remember Lewis, didn't even hang around to celebrate with us. He just took off. And, he was obviously really disappointed. Maybe he thought he was going to get promoted as well. But then it wasn't too long later, he contacted us and said, I'm really sorry, mate. I was a bit emotional about it. And Victor had said to him that he just wanted to squeeze a bit more out of the orange. He just wanted to get that little bit more out of him. And that should be seen as a compliment to Lewis, that Victor saw that in him. He had a bit more potential, maybe. So yeah, we've got to celebrate our own victories, but we've also got to celebrate others as well, because without those other people, there is no jiu-jitsu.
Sure. For me, it reminds me of when at Gracie Bar Harrogate, when we went to my first competition, we went as a good team together. I remember being more nervous for the other guys' matches than I was for my own. On the sidelines, oh man, come on, and just feeling so happy for those, for them when they got their wins and stuff like that. It was
totally, and it's that team thing that we're trying to create. Yeah, because as a collective, when we all win, each one of us wins, and so particularly as an instructor, a professor, or a coach, we want when our students win, we win, right? I don't feel like I want to compete anymore. It's just I don't feel it. Man, I'm desperate for some of our students to compete because I want to feel that success for them. And that's going to feel just as good, probably even better than competing myself.
All right, so the next one is, forget about past mistakes and focus your energy on the victories of tomorrow.
Yeah, easy, right? There's going to be loads of times when you get tapped by someone and you drive home and all you think about for the next week is, man, that geezer or that woman, God, she caught me in that choke, what was I doing? And then you'll question yourself. You'll think, man, my jiu-jitsu, I've lost it. I haven't been coming perhaps so much. And people get down this rabbit hole of negativity and they sometimes never get out of it and it really knocks them. All you got to do is come back again, and maybe you'll go through a bit of a period in your jiu-jitsu where you do lose quite often. I remember I did. I was losing all the time. It's what the? I've lost some. But actually, when that happens, you're on almost a plateau before another peak. That's what I found. So I'll peak in my kind of abilities and understanding, then I'll plateau off and I won't do so well. And it's on that point there when I'm really working hard, then I peak again. And so, yeah, if you kind of can leave the losses behind and the failures and focus on coming back tomorrow to make yourself even better, you'll always be on the journey, man. You'll always do well.
Seems like it's one of the ones that work really well, not for just jiu-jitsu, but for life, right?
All these things work well for life. Jiu-jitsu is just a part of life. We shouldn't misunderstand that. Life is more important than jiu-jitsu, isn't it? The kind of totality of it. Our relationships are more important than jiu-jitsu. Our family's more important than jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is just a tool, really, to find the best version of ourselves through. Because I honestly do believe that if we train jiu-jitsu, we are better employees, husbands, wives, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, right? We just are, because of all the things we're talking about. So this is just for real life. All this stuff's normal life, but we just put it into a jiu-jitsu context.
It's interesting how he kind of, you got to feel like he learned these lessons on the mat, yet he doesn't really mention the mat. Like he's just talking about, like he doesn't say, BJJ, forget about your mistakes in jiu-jitsu and focus on tapping someone else tomorrow. I guess he pioneered that thinking of finding the lessons you learn in jiu-jitsu are also applicable to wider life.
And the mat's the proving ground, isn't it? The mat's the place to develop all those things because it exposes you. There's very few other pastimes, hobbies, sports, whatever you want to call it, where your kind of soul is so stripped bare than it is in one-to-one combat. Because in a team sport you can hide, right? And in a sport that actually isn't combative, did you lose? Yeah, so what? It was 5-0. Someone else's fault. Or if you played like a snooker, you lost a few great frames of snooker. But in a fight, in a sparring match, that person got the better of you, controlled you, and beat you. So that exposes you to so many, because it's quite personal, isn't it? It's got a personal loss, particularly for men.
Yeah, because it's like a higher stakes kind of thing. Like you lose, you lose the World Cup, right? The World Cup final, like end of the day, like you lost like a massive thing, but it wasn't like someone
it was life threatening.
Yeah, it wasn't like someone's about to kill you if there wasn't the thing, as I say, saying tap or tap it, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, men really struggle with that, because to be controlled by another man is a strange, humbling feeling. The first time you ever feel it, when someone's smaller than you and you can't get out, man, that's like a real eye-opener for a lot of people. So yeah, you've got to stay humble, man. And that's why jiu-jitsu is so great, because it does expose all these weaknesses. And then you either take those on board and do what we're talking about now and develop into that positive person who's always looking for being optimistic about being able to improve, or you pack it in and go and pretend you're like that.
That's a weird thing about combat sports. I don't think there's ever a bigger disparity between people's thought of how they'll perform compared to how they'll actually perform. If you said, even if it was compared to like a high level compare, if I said, oh Mike, you're gonna go play with Ronnie O'Sullivan at snooker, you'd be like, oh yeah, there's no chance in hell, right? But then maybe if I say to Ronnie, like, oh, Ronnie, you're gonna go roll with Mike, you'd be like, oh, maybe there's a chance,
It's just another guy, right?
Yeah. Not that I'm saying you're the Ronnie O'Sullivan of jiu-jitsu there, Mike.
Definitely not the Ronnie O'Sullivan of jiu-jitsu. Wouldn't be a bad thing to be.
No. All right. Where are we? 1 second. So we just did number 7. That was forget about past mistakes. Number 8 is always make those around you happy and keep a smile for all people who talk to you.
Do we even need to talk about that? Like we've just talked about it. Just be a positive person.
Positivity.
That's tough. It's really tough though, isn't it? You and I find this when we're teaching. Might have had a bad day, tired, you've got your own thing going on. But when you're on the mat, when you're doing your thing, your members expect positivity. It's like a teacher, right? You've got to do that. And it's hard sometimes, but if we all do it, the world's a better place again, right?
So I think this one is worth spending a minute or two on. Apply the largest amount of your time on self-improvement and no time in criticising others.
Yeah, let's take the second part of that. Like, what is the point of criticising anyone else? Are they on your jiu-jitsu journey? Does that actually help you? No. It's just making you feel a bit better, perhaps, inside by knocking someone else down. Well, that doesn't do anyone any favours. On the first part of it, spending the most amount of time on things you're not very good at, it's that growth mindset piece, isn't it? I talked to my eldest boy about with his football. It's not just doing the things you are good at. It's about finding where you're weak and spending time specifically trying to improve that. And that's hard. It's really hard in jiu-jitsu because you're going to get beat a lot while you're working on that. So if you've got a really bad mount escape, you keep getting mounted, and every time you get mounted, you can't get them off. You should Start your specific training in mount and try and get out. But you're going to get tapped for weeks, maybe even months, until eventually you keep working it, you keep practicing it, then you start to escape. And then you need to find the next thing. Same happens when I get my back taken. Well, guess what? Start to practice escaping from the back. You're going to get choked out. But you've got to be able to get over the fact and almost enjoy losing. You know, you've got to enjoy being beaten because you know, provided you've got that growth mindset, that's what's going to make you improve. Because every time you get beaten, you should learn something new. And when you get to that, man, that's when you really start to fly in anything. But jiu-jitsu, again, is a really good kind of spotlight on that growth mindset piece, right? It's easy it's easy to go to your strong place all the time. You'll see it. All our members are going to do this. They're going to come in for live training when they've got a stripe on their belt. We're going to go 5 minutes on the round and they're going to go to their strong place. Because we all do, because we want to win. When you realise what your weak place is, you've got to go there more often.
Unless you just make me and you're weak at everything.
Where's your weakest area in jiu-jitsu right now?
My guard and guard retention. But I'd say that's because I spent a lot of time now focusing on takedowns and guard passing. I know eventually I will come to the guard retention piece, but for me, at the moment, I'm working at it as it would run through in a fight. So I'm like, I want to get my takedown or pull guard. Right now, I'm focusing more on the takedown side of that. Next step is to doing on pass guard, unless I've landed on that. Then I'm going to be looking at different pins. But then I'm actually going to take a step. In fact, before I even look at pins, probably I'll look at guard and guard retention, and then I'll probably look at doing different pins, and then things like that.
What do you think about working guard retention at the same time as your guard pass? Because if you do that, because actually, we filmed some stuff today, didn't we? Once you understand what you need for guard retention, you understand what you need to deny your opponent for a guard pass.
Yeah, very true.
The two kind of intermingle. Takedowns is a separate thing, but when you're looking at guard passing, I believe you should spend some time playing guard so you can feel where you feel strong, and then you can see where your opponent's weak, and then when you guard passing, you can't be that guy. That'd be more interesting, I think, and it would be, maybe you'll find some little corners there that perhaps you won't see if you just do the passing.
That's very true, yeah.
So that's what I would do. I would do specific training, guard passing, and then make sure you switch it so you specific training playing the guard.
That's why it's nice when you've got someone that is either like trying to work the same thing as, so if like me and Jim, for instance, we're both working guard passing, yep. I would need to play guard for a while, and then playing guard, I kind of understand the different positions from the bottom better, and then when it comes to being on top, like it works nicely when you're doing that. Or the opposite way where if someone's like working in their guard a lot and you want to work your passing, that also can work quite nicely.
The other thing to do is just drill. So if you don't have that partner, or you can't get to the gym, or we're in lockdown, you can always drill. I always tell this story, but there's a guy called Johnny Grippo. I don't know if you've heard of him. He was a multiple world champion. And when I went to Marcel Garcia's in New York, I had a private with Paul Schreiner, and Bernardo Faria was on the mat, and all those guys, Mateus Denise and Man Shakira and Dylan Dennis and all that. And then Johnny Grippo was drilling in the corner all day. I mean, I'm not kidding, like 8 hours a day with one other guy who used to work behind reception. He used to drag him out and he'd just drill this berimbolo leg drag thing over and over again. And anyway, I went over and I said, "Oh, Johnny, really sorry, nice to meet you. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm over from the UK. I'd really love a private with you. I think you just won the Worlds." I said, "How much is a private?" Like, I'll give you $200, because that was the going rate for like a black belt in America at the time. And he said, "Oh man, I'd love to. Yeah, I could really do with the money as well, but I've got to drill my technique because I want to win the Worlds this year." I was like, shit, this guy's like got it down. Like, he was so focused on getting better, and he knew what he needed to work on, and he would just do it for 8 hours a day, over and over and over. Guess what? Multiple world champion.
Well, there you go.
There you go, T. 8 hours, mate. What are you waiting for? You got past the drill. Drilling, man.
That's why I need to get myself a good little grappling dummy, because yeah. Right, next one. Where are we? Which one was it? They apply the largest amount of time on self-improvement,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
just did that one,
Okay, so number 10. Bit of a long one, this one. Be big enough so you can feel unsatisfied. Be noble enough so you can feel anger. Be strong enough so you can feel fear. And be happy enough so you can feel frustrations.
I think you need to break that down into 4 different things because they're all quite different, aren't they?
Yeah. So first one, be strong enough so you can feel unsatisfied.
Yeah, I think that just goes back to the growth mindset again, right? About knowing yourself, about being honest with yourself. I think the word strong...
Sorry, it's be big enough.
Big enough, yeah. So I would use the word like honest instead of big. Be honest enough with yourself to know that you're not the finished article and that you need to work. Don't kid yourself, right? Because it's easy to do that. It's easy for us to all to pretend that we're better than we are. And we do it all the time. We all do it all the time.
Yeah.
But you're only kidding yourself, really.
Be noble enough so you can feel anger.
Yeah, so be proud as well, right? You're still a proud person. You're able to be... Because when we talk about all this positivity and all that, what we don't want to say is, don't be some kind of super soft, passive individual. You still got your principles. You still should be noble and principled enough that if something cuts across what you actually believe, you should be strong enough to be able to stand up for that. And the people who also believe in that, right? So I think that's what it means there. You can be ultimately positive, you could be supportive, you can have a great growth mindset, but you've got to have some values. And if those values are challenged, you've got to be proud enough, noble enough to stand up and challenge them back.
Yeah, that's a good point, that. Be strong enough so you can feel fear.
Again, that's honest, right? Like if you've not competed in jiu-jitsu or a combat sport, you may not have felt the same kind of fear. The only time, well, it's a different type of fear, but if you've been on military operations as well, the fear of flying into, like when I flew into Afghan, and it was the most mined country in the world, and you could literally see the mines on the floor, and the Chinooks hovering like 6 foot off the deck because they can't land in case they go off, and the loadie boots you off, and you're going for a 45-day insertion, you don't know what the hell you're going to find. That's quite scary as well. And you've got to be honest with yourself and strong enough, like it says in there, to accept that you are scared. There's that kind of famous saying that people, the only reason people go to war is because they're scared to not go in front of their friends, right? Like we're all scared, and when you can accept that and understand it, you can deal with it. But we kid ourselves, don't we? Oh man, it's fine, don't worry, bro. I'm super relaxed for this competition. No man, you're scared stiff. Everyone's nervous. Conor McGregor, when he struts into the cage, he's nervous, man. They're all nervous. It's how you deal with it. The best. Hickson said in Choke, didn't he? Like, the reason he felt he did so well in competition was, even though he was as nervous as everyone else, he could deal with it so well. Like his heart rate was always 20 beats below everyone else's. So when they were at 80, he was at 60. When they were at 100, he was 80. 120, 100. 140, 120. They're gassed out, and he's still got some room in the tank. And that's what I think. If you're strong enough to understand and accept that you're fearful, you can find mechanisms to deal with it, right?
Yeah, there's that quote, again, I'll butcher, about bravery, but it's like the bravest people aren't the people that don't feel fear, it's the ones that feel fear and rise to the occasion anyway.
Yeah, deal with it, yeah. Absolutely. And we, feeling that fear is a good thing because it teaches a lot about ourselves, doesn't it? And what kind of life are we living if we don't push our boundaries a little bit? Like, I was chatting to a guy yesterday, Jim actually, one of our blue belts here, about legacy and like what that means. And we were talking in the context of leaving my job and starting this place and risking it, starting a business that was a contact sport in lockdown. It's like, doesn't really make sense, but it's about legacy. Like, what do you want your life to mean? When you sat in front of the fire in a rocking chair with a grandkid on your knee and you tell them stories, like, I want to be able to tell them about risking a lot and sometimes winning, sometimes losing, and how I felt scared, but I overcome it. That stuff. That's why I'm rowing the Atlantic. That's scary stuff, man. Going out into the middle of the ocean on a little rowing boat for 2 months. with all the different things that could happen. But to overcome it and to get to the side, that's when we really kind of live. And that's the legacy that we want, I would suggest, rather than the legacy of, and you hear this all the time in the Marines, like, oh, I was going to join the Marines. Oh, yeah? What happened? Oh, yeah, I didn't do it. Don't want to be that guy. I joined the Marines, like yourself, gave it my best shot, got injured, didn't work out. At least you tried. But most people don't even try.
So the last bit of that is be happy enough so you can't. So be happy enough so you can feel frustrations.
I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think it's an acceptance one as well. Like, you know, you're going to have setbacks. You're going to feel frustrated, but that's okay. Like, that happens. Just be happy about it. It's like, it's almost like with the positivity stuff, you know, lockdown happens. You know, stuff happens. Like, let's be happy about the time we can now spend working on our solo drills, like our hip escapes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also, if you're frustrated, why are you frustrated? You're frustrated probably because you're not very good at something. That should make you happy, because now you've discovered something that you can practice to make yourself even better. You know, it's no fun. It's no fun like having a roll with someone you're much better than and battering them, tapping them 25 times in a round. Where's the fun in that? There actually is no fun in that. Like, I know, because that's what I do to you all the time. There's no fun in it, right? The fun is seeing you do something that you couldn't do like a month or two ago, now you're doing it. Or to miss a grip and know why I missed it and what happened next. That's the fun. Okay, it's not, or to hit a submission that actually I've been working on and that I want to develop, like the guillotine or something like that. There's no fun in just winning for winning's sake. So when you feel the frustrations, that should make you kind of like, oh yeah, wow, I can't do that. Right, let's practice it, make it better. That should make you happy, right?
Yeah, because it's stuff you can work on, isn't it? Okay, 11. Hold a good opinion about yourself and communicate that to the world. Not through dissonant words, but through good works.
Yeah, it's the same theme. It's all the same. Carlos, you're repeating yourself.
Yeah.
It's the same stuff.
You should have summed it up in about 2-3 sentences.
Could have done this. Sorry, everyone. This podcast is about 5 minutes. Yeah, it's the same thing, right? Like, be good, feel good about yourself. Be confident. You know, express that confidence. One of the things that we talk about with our little champions, I think this is so important for the kids, is that when they train jiu-jitsu, because we give them some self-defense and we talk about discipline, respect and all that stuff, they get confident. When they walk around the schoolyard, they're less of a target. They're standing a bit tall. That's what the military does to you, right? You stand up straight, chest out, shoulders back. You know, you feel different and you project different to other people. Not by being a dick, but by being just a nice guy, right? But just super confident.
I think Jordan Peterson talks a bit about that in his...
Stand up straight, shoulders back. Yeah, exactly.
Last one then. Believe strongly that the world is on your side, and as long as you stay loyal to the best of yourself.
Yeah, so have a bit of faith. Don't have to be religious, but have a bit of faith that actually the world is a good place and people are good people, right? We can get into a mindset that the world's against us sometimes. Oh man, I'll never get a break here. I lost my job, my wife's left me, blah, 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 blah. Actually, the world's a pretty good place. You could be born in some horrendous third world country, you know, and be starving to death every day and have your family dying with disease every single minute of every day. Man, if you're born in England, you're doing pretty well to start with. Your life's pretty good with everything that we've got to support us in the state and stuff like that. It's not perfect, is it? Nothing's perfect, but it's pretty good anyway, right? So I think, like, let's get out of this mindset that everyone else is to blame and start to think about what we can do to affect our own lives. And if you're not happy, if you're in a job you don't like, you know, leave. Get a different job. But don't piss and moan about the boss. Go do something about it. And if you're in a relationship which is abusive or you're not happy or you're not treated with respect, if you can, leave. or tell someone about it, or find a community like ours which is going to support you and give you an opportunity to grow and to blossom and to feel more confident so you can go and do those things. You know, so the worst thing you can do is just wallow in self-pity and blame everyone else. I've got people in my family like that, and frankly, we don't see eye to eye. I ain't got time for people like that because they're just wallowing in self-pity, and no matter how hard you try and help them and how many opportunities you present them to do something about it, they never take it up. That's really sad. It's a waste of a life, man. It comes back, there's no legacy there. So, yeah, do something about it if you're not happy. Make a change.
Have a bit of faith.
Yeah, man. Start jiu-jitsu.
This is where I fade us out and also fade in, but you gotta have faith. Oh, gotta have faith.
Don't do that to me. I think, look, all those 12 commandments, right? Let's take away the word commandment because no one's commanding anyone to do anything. We're just suggesting you might like to look at your life through a slightly different lens. If you are listening to this as one of our members, you've already started to, if you're not already, you've already started to become someone different. And we can only affect that so much with the online stuff. Oh man, when you come into the mat and there's 25 people training on the mat and the energy in the room's unreal and we're all losing and winning and learning together, it's going to be life-changing for a lot of people. I can't wait to feel that. I can't wait to see it. I've already seen it. I said to, she won't mind me saying this, I said to Leslie on the Zoom class the other day, oh, you need to get the Kimura, you just need to hip escape out. And she hip escaped out and got the position. No one could do that 3 weeks ago. I didn't even know what a hip escape was. Our members have come so far already. Wait till we get back on the mat. It's going to be unreal to see the development of everyone, from the jiu-jitsu to the community to the positive vibes we're doing in our local area. It's unreal, man.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway from Master Carlos's commandments or suggestions. Is the positivity side of stuff seemed to run through all of those.
Yeah, and that's just a very instant change we could all make. And we're not going to do it all the time, because don't get me wrong, I sometimes, obviously, say and do the wrong things. Just ask my wife. She has to live with me every day. But if we can try and be positive in everything we do, it's a choice. And if we can make that choice, generally things work out for the better.
When do we have Sarah on for the tell-all? All of Mike's faults.
Never. When I'm on the Atlantic, mate, I can't stop it. I'd expect to come home to that. Yeah, exactly.
That'd be good. So yeah, those are your takeaways. Positivity. Master Carlos has been a little bit of a boss, but we'll grant him that.
Yeah. And we are here as a professor, as a coach, as a community to support anyone who feels like they're struggling to make that change or want to learn more about themselves. We ain't got all the answers, but we've got a great tool in jiu-jitsu to figure it out. So anyone is welcome here anytime, whoever you are. Come and train with us, come and figure it all out.
Cheers, mate.
Us.
See you there, guys.